Welcome to Where There's a Wills.
There's a play.
My name's Ian. I am your mid-complexity casual gamer.
I'm Stacey. I am your non-gamer gamer.
We're gonna slide this
Got
over.
fuzzy hair today. I just noticed.
Slide this over so that it's your center a little bit more. I'm a little bit far over here. Slide it a little bit.
All the
Slide
space.
Well, that overlay, I'm not sure where we're supposed to be quite much. All right. Well, we are here with a Five and Dime Friday with our Board Game Geek complex or not complexity, our Board Game Geek ratings of 6.0 to 6.49 that have at least 50 ratings on Board Game Geek. As we are working our way through our series, this is our second to last one. Next week's episode will be filmed this weekend, probably. Stacy's got a craft fair next Saturday, and we have to set up on Friday night, so we will not be available on Friday night. So next week's will be filmed ahead of time and go up probably during the day, actually. I'll probably put it up early in the day. And that one will be 6.0 and below, or below 6.0. We're kind of getting down into our more silly, fun, partyish games for the most part.
My kind of
almost
games.
Kiddie games, for the some for well, they're games. They're more for kids. They aren't going to be ones that people on are rating.
They're family.
They're not going to be ones that people are rating real high on Board Game Geek. But there's still a lot of fun games on here because, as we know, Board Game Geek tends to lean towards the heavier, hardcore gamers as far as people rating. I mean, even when I go on rate stuff, it's like stuff is um, pretty straightforward 7, 8, 9, 10. Hey Jeff, thanks for joining us. Yeah, so we are going to get into this with our honorable mentions. As always, I'll be giving my top 10, and Stacy will be giving her top 5.
Oops.
Top 5. Because I do a lot of solo game as well. Although this list is not a lot of solo gaming.
We should have done my top 10 on this and your top 5.
Yeah, but remember with it actually that may have made sense, but
this is my kind of game.
But I think I have more games. I had 27 games that I ranked.
I had 21.
Okay, so there's a few solo games on here, or there's a few games probably actually from Board Game Club because I don't see any solo stuff on here.
I don't know. I think I need to go on to Board Game Geeks or whatever it's called and rate some games so I can get the ratings up higher.
That ain't gonna do it.
You
can try. All right, so let's get to our honorable mentions. As always, we give our 5 honorable mentions with in alphabetical order. You want to go first? You want me?
It's hot.
Okay, I'll go first. All right.
Sorry.
The first game is a roll and write from Game Right, and that is Bloom. In Bloom, you are rolling multicolored dice and trying to fill in these different flower patches. I really like playing this one with the kids. It's really easy to teach, really easy to learn. It's a fun one. So that is Bloom. My second one is another one from my game club at school, and that is a game called Chick-a-Pig. This is just a really fun, silly game where you are playing as Chick-a-Pigs and you are on a grid and you are trying to move across to the other side. You can only move in a straight line though, and you can only move as far as you can move without being stopped by something. You roll a dice to see how many movements you actually get. One movement, it could be 1 space, it could be 8 spaces. You got to kind of plan yourself out, and if you go in a straight line, you have to go as far as you can physically move. You can't just randomly stop in a spot, be like, hey, I'm going to put myself in a spot to be more strategic. You have to move all the way down the row or column. There's also a cow in it. As the box says, a game with chicken pig hybrid strategy and a pooping cow. So the cow comes into play and it lays poop on the board with little tokens. It's just a really fun, silly game.
And bales of hay.
Yes. The next one is Disney's It's a Small World. This game, I don't know. It's just really fun to get out and play. It's got some cute art on it and stuff. It's like I said, these are lower rated stuff, but it's just a fun game to play.
This is a good family game.
It is a good family game. It is a little tough, I will say, to see both sides of everything. You do kind of got to get up and move around. You're flipping these boards around a little bit to spin them to you get different cards. You have to find where the different parts in the small world are with these cards, and you have to be in the right areas, and you're moving around a board. It's a fun little game. I do enjoy playing it. The next one is another one from my board game club at school. A lot of these are board game club, it seems like. And that is pick a dog / pick a pig. Whichever one you want. So in this, you have these little cards on the back. This is dog, and then there's pig. And then when you play, each one has different attributes. They're big or small, brown or pink, have sunglasses or not sunglasses, popcorn or no popcorn, 1 or 2 arms, and I think that's it. And what you do is you start with a starter card face down, you flip it over, you have to find one that is either exactly one difference or exactly the same. And it's all done in real time. When you don't think you can do anymore, you say stop. You have to go through and you count. If you're correct on the round, you get to score all those points. If you had even one mistake, you don't get them all. It's a really fun, chaotic game. It's a lot of fun. So I really like that one. And the last one is KO Dragons versus Unicorns. This comes from the Unstable Games universe of games, Unstable Unicorns, and stuff like that. And so it's very similar to that. You have cards that have different powers. Although I do like this one because it has the tic tac toe. You're playing on a 3x3 grid or 4x4, and you have a goal that you need to do against your opponent. You're playing against your opponent. You can place cards, remove cards, move cards, do different things, and you have to get them in certain orientations, and then you get a new card. So I do like this one. That is Tic Tac KO Dragons versus Unicorns. We also have Cute versus Evil, and that one was actually on the last rating. I didn't have it in my honorable mention, but that one was rated just slightly higher than this one. Not sure why, but it had a slightly higher rating.
Times.
Yeah.
Times.
All right. And on to Stacey's
honorable My honorable mention, so my 6 through 10 in alphabetical order, because I don't discriminate and I don't want to make one sound better than the next. So my 6 through 10 in alphabetical order. Some of these we've already talked about, but Disney, It's a Small World comes in first. Now, I like this game. Whenever I have a few minutes to burn, I'm like, hey, let's play It's a Small World. So basically, you have a board and you have these stand-up tiles, I guess they are, with
walls,
different walls with different parts of It's a Small World from Disney. If you've ever been on that ride in Disney World or Disneyland, you'll know that there's these little cute scenes as you go country to country. And basically, you have these little teeny tiny cards in your hand that are kind of difficult to see. But you have a little boat that goes around on your path, and as you travel around in your little boat, different scenes from It's a Small World come into view, and you have to match your card to a scene that's on that wall. So if you have a panda bear in your hand, you have to keep going through the boat to find that panda bear. Once you find it, you say, hey, I have this panda bear, I have this scene right here where my boat is, and then you get that card and you put it in your stack. The person who has the most cards at the end of the game that has matched their card with that scene where your boat is the winner.
Yeah. Each wall has 2 sides, and each side has 2 different scenes. So at any one time, you're looking at 4 different countries. The artwork in that one's really nice.
It's really cute. Okay. I like that game.
Right. What's next?
Oh, I forgot. It's still my turn.
It's your honorable mentions.
My next one is a game that I love. I've never heard anybody else ever talk about it, and I usually win. So that's not the only reason that I like it, though. And this is a silly game
with a really creepy cover. Yeah, look at that.
It's called I Know. And
oh yeah, that's even creepier on the video.
The front with the eyelashes.
Yeah, it's just so creepy.
It's a beautiful box that creeps me out. Don't leave this on the table at night and then get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom and have this thing staring at you, because you will have an issue. Anyways, I Know. Basically, you put, was it 3
by 3? I think it's 3 by 3 or something.
4 by 4.
4 by 4.
We only play this usually on New Year's Eve. So are coming up for our yearly play.
Yes,
It's coming.
it will be coming.
But you do your rows of 4x4 of these different pictures with different themes on them,
different
basically.
different categories.
Different categories, and you have to pick a card, and it tells you basically what color you have to choose on your grid. And then
you roll
pick,
a dice.
Oh yeah,
you roll a dice, and that tells you what color you have to choose, what category you have to. Yeah.
Yes, and so you get to choose if there's two oranges that come up. You have to choose which orange card you get to pick, and then you have to name what the item is, and then you have to answer questions on the back. So not only do you need to know who, what, where, when, whatever on the front, but then you have to answer the questions on the back. If you do all of that right, you win the card. And then the person, I think the first person to 5 cards or 6 cards wins that one. So that one is I Know. And this is my next one is another game that we play usually only on New Year's, and it's a party game. Ugh! And that's Linky. Linky, basically, you have all of these different colors of cards that have questions and answers on them. You have to answer the questions and collect the one color of each Linky, and you can steal the card from people. It's basically another trivia game, just a different way of doing it. I like this game. I like trivia games as well. Mm-hmm. So this is right up my alley. Linky, if you have a family get together, you can team up and play it, or you can play it. We figured out how to play it with just 2 people. I think you can play 2 to, I don't know, 2 to something people. It says on the side. 2 to 30 players. So that 30. Is a party game. Yeah. So that is Linky. My next one is just a little teeny tiny game that I learned this summer. It's Smitten. So you lay, I remember I played it twice. It's a 2-player game only. You lay your cards down 1 to something.
Well, you don't lay any cards down.
Well, yeah, so you each have your hands of cards, and you have cards that tell you you can only lay this down to something. Each card has a direction that you have to follow in order to lay that card down. So it's kind of a strategy game. It's a
limited communication.
Yes, limited communication, and you have to get each. You have 2 boxes that you're building in for the most part, and you just have to put your cards down. And when your hands are empty and it's all correct, then you. That's Smitten by Jamie Stegmaier, I believe. And then my last game is that one with the yellow strap on it right there. Oh. Is Tetris. So if you've never, I'm assuming, and you know what happens when you assume, but we've all hopefully played the video game Tetris,
or have at least heard of it.
If you're in my age range, which is 21 to 30, you've heard of this game and played it. This is very similar to it. You have different shapes that you have, and then you have these little plastic where I can't see, but you have these. Oh dear, the yellow. There we go. I can't.
Sorry, these are from the ones with the straps are from my board game club at school, so stuff stays together.
So you have these little plastic boards that you plop your pieces into, and you have to build the card designs down here. Where are they? And first person to have 10 completed rows. I think it's 10 completed rows, 6 completed rows.
This is the piece that you are placing. That's the next piece you're going to be placing. You're not doing any sort of it's once you're completely done. You score per completed row, and you score if you've put the right color on the right. There's some little symbols on the back side of it if you have the right color on the right thing. So
that's right. We need to play that one again. Okay. My mind is getting old. And that is my 6 through 10. My honorable mentions.
All right. Moving on, and we got a new little transition here.
Ooh, I haven't even seen it.
It's playing with a slideshow here. So moving on to my number 10. Ooh. So no, you haven't seen it on here, but I did show it to you. So my number 10 is another game that comes to us from the Unstable Unicorns universe. That one right there. It's not Unstable Unicorns. These other 2 I like better. So spoiler, Unstable Unicorns is not on the list. And that is Happy Little Dinosaurs. In Happy Little Dinosaurs, you are a dinosaur that has some little abilities. Well, you are trying to avoid disasters, and you're moving on this board. And every round a disaster comes up. You're basically playing war against each other, and whoever has the higher number wins. Whoever has a lower loses. But there's also some cards that have some abilities that may flip flop the score or add points to yours or take points away from the other person. Um, and each one of the dinosaurs, so there's three different disaster types plus a disaster type that covers all three disasters. Each dinosaur um, has a plus and a minus on them. So they have like one of them, like, oh, you have -1 for this type of for an emotional disaster or for an environmental disaster. Um, and so that one is so you would add one or subtract one from the card you're playing. So there's some strategy in there. When you're playing with two people, the first person to have four, three of the same or two of two different types, I think it is, loses. Or if someone gets all the way up to 50 points, you win. We do have both expansions because they just added some more dinosaurs, and then the Hazards Ahead added a little bit more. Actually, I think we have two expansions. I think there's actually more expansions for that add different cards. There's lots of expansions. We have the two that added to 5 to 6 players and just added the new dinosaur board. So Happy Little Dinosaurs is my number 10. Let's see if I can do this here. I gotta be on that. Moving on to my number 9. Yeah, yeah. My number 9 is a small little 18 card game from Buttonshy, and that is River Wild. River Wild is a game where you are starting at a mountaintop, and you have a river, and you have to try and make your river go down and surround these wild animals, mystical animals, dragons and unicorns and stuff like that. And you score based on um, there's cards that have you need this many of each of these in an area, and you can score those. So River Wild, Button Shy Games. My number 8 is another game from my board game club. I love this game. A lot of these come from there. That is Hands. Oh. In Hands, you have blue cards, which are one hand gestures, and you have yellow cards or green cards, which are two hand gestures. What you're doing is each person starts with 5 cards, depending on how many people you're playing with. Each person starts with 5 cards. You always have 5 cards in your hand. I think you might have more with fewer kids, with fewer people, and less with more people. I can't remember exactly. But what you're doing is you are trying to match gestures. Now you're supposed to do this silently and just try and match them. That's not how we play at Board Game Club, but we have names for a lot of them. A lot of them are things that we use in class anyway. Or a lot of them you just start calling them things. Like there's one that looks like this. We just call claw, so that you're talking. We talk though because it's a lot more fun to do that than to try and just sit there silently and try and match things up. And then if you match with someone else, you show each other the card, which you really have to do because there are several cards that are very similar to each other. There's there's a lot of the sign language letters, and if you know like A and E and stuff, there's several that kind of look very much alike. So you got to be very careful. So you got to show each other to make sure you have the same card. If you do, you place it face down in front of you. That's a point at the end of the game. The green cards are two hand gestures. You don't want those. So what you do is if you get a green hand gesture, like I know one of them is like this. Okay, if you do that, everybody else around the table has to do that. And then the last person at the table to notice that and do it, they get the card, and that's negative points at the game. It's just a really fun game. It's a lot of fun playing with the kids. I've introduced this to the adults at school. They like this one as well. So Hands, that is. Sika doesn't like that one because he doesn't have hands. If there was a game called Pause, he would love it. Okay, that was mine, number 8. Moving on to my number 7. My number 7, if you could hand me that right there. My number 7 is another game that we play on New Year's quite a bit. We play this one a little differently with 2 players. We play 6 total rounds with 6 different letters on the same card, and we just have so much fun playing this. That is Categories. This is an old school game. I really like playing this. I like how we play it with 2 players. We play 1 card, we play 6 rounds, and we just roll the dice 6 times, and we see who has the most points after 6 rounds. So in Categories, you have a list of 12 different categories. You roll a dice. everything in that category needs to everything on that you write down needs to start with that letter. You get 1 point for each one that you have that the other person or people, if you're playing with a lot of people, don't have. And you also, if you can come up with something that starts with both, there's 2 words long, and it starts with both of them starting, you get 2 points. If you use a name, you can use the last name or the first name for it. So just a lot of fun. I really enjoy this one. That is categories. My number 7. My number 6. If you could hand me that one right there.
This one?
Yep. My number
This
6 is another silly fun game. This is where the silly fun stuff, and this is called Dumb Ways to Die.
Dumb Ways to Die.
I don't know. This went around Facebook a few years ago where there was this meme or little reels and stuff that was just this little song, Dumb Ways to Die. And it was made into a game, and you play and you roll this dice, and we haven't played this one for a while. So you roll this dice and you have these different beans, and you have 3 beans, and you're trying not to make them die. You're going back and forth trying to do different things. I don't even remember completely. I really don't. We haven't played it for a while, so you have these. Oh, you also have these really cool like holographic cards that shows like when they're alive and dead. And they have names on them and stuff. So you're rolling a dice, and then what you're doing is you have these different accidents and stuff, and you play them, and then the bottom is a way to save yourself. So I think you're playing it against your opponent, and then the opponent can kind of save themselves and stuff. So Dumb Ways to Die, really fun, really silly game. If you like fun and silliness, I highly suggest this one.
Affordable game.
And it is affordable.
These are pretty affordable games.
Yep. Let's see, where am I? That was my number 6. All right, moving on to our top 5, and it's orange. It's on to Stacey's number 5. See, it's got orange.
Oh my gosh, you're getting so high tech.
Yeah.
I don't want to brag, but it's handy to have around. My number 5, I don't want to ruin it, but Ian's already talked about it. So I won't go into too much detail on it, but Tic Tac KO, Dragons versus Unicorns. I do like this game. This is one of the, I won't say one of the few games, but actually has people-sized cards in it.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have those little tiny cards that some of the games have. These actually have cards that you can hold in your hand. The artwork is adorable. It's fun to play. And you do need to have some strategy in this one as well. So that is my number 5, Tic Tac KO, Dragons versus Unicorns.
Nice. I didn't realize you liked that one as much.
I didn't either.
Nice.
Told you, lots of surprises.
Yeah, these lists are really surprising. These ones down here, like where things come out. Hi to everybody else who's on. We got a few people on. My number 5 is one Stacey's already talked about. Oops, let's move on to mine. And that is Smitten by Stonemeyer Games. Smitten, like Stacey says, is an 18-card game. When you're playing with 2 people, you each have 3 cards in your hand. You can communicate, like I have a card I can use, or the lead player plays a card, but then the other person has to follow a rule. Like it might say can only place in the other grid. You're creating 2 3x3 grids that have the same picture on them, and they're numbered 1 through 9. The cards are, and so you have to follow the rules in order to place the cards. So it's a lot of fun. It is definitely a brain burner to figure out, okay, can I play this one? Which card do I need to play? In the solo mode, and you have cards that are face up and face down in front of you, 2 sets, and whoever the lead player is, you can play that one, but then you have to play something from the other side. When you play the first card, then the card that's face down can be flipped over, so maybe you can play that one. So you do have to be very strategic in how you start this. If you start in the corner, you don't have very many options as to where you can start placing cards around it if you have to place a card next to it. So a lot of fun. That is Smitten, my number 5. And Stacey's number 4.
My number 4. I don't remember. I don't think we've talked about this one yet, but I didn't realize I liked this game as much as it landed on my list either. I thought I disliked this game, but according to, well, I didn't dislike it. I won't say that because I don't like that. Anyway, I'm just gonna go out and say it. Unstable Unicorns. I guess I like this game more than I thought I did. But this one again, cute artwork, has people-sized cards that you can easily hold in your hand. Basically, you're holding different unicorns in your hand that have different powers. Is this one with the baby unicorns where
Yes,
you have the baby
you'd
unicorn
start with a baby unicorn,
in your daycare or your nursery?
whatever it
I
is.
think it's in your nursery. And you can steal baby unicorns. You can steal different cards from the other players. Fun game. Again, these are all affordable games. I think these ones are, 10 to
Yeah,
15, $20.
pretty inexpensive.
Um, yeah, for being on the inexpensive side of gaming. So if you're looking to just
Don't quote
start,
us on that. It might be
no,
20. It might
please
be
don't.
20. I don't
It
remember.
could
We
be.
don't remember.
We got a lot of these just at our local Walmart or
Target.
Target stores. Buy one get one free when they have their big sales going on a couple times a year. So if you're just trying to get into gaming, or you have a friend who is trying to get into gaming and you're trying to just kind of help them along the way, I think the unstable universe is a fun way to kind of get people entered into it
If you
as
play
well.
one of them, there's they all play very similar. They have
Mm-hmm.
like cards with powers on them. They just like this one, you are trying to collect 7 unicorns. Ticket to, or tic tac KO, you're trying to make different patterns. Happy Little Dinosaurs, you're trying to move up the. You're just trying to score points. We do have one more in the closet that we haven't played yet. So yeah,
What's that?
Here to Slay.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's on our
Okay.
unplayed. So
But anyway, this is my number 4, Unstable Unicorns. I love the artwork in all of these. They're so cute. So that's my
right,
number 4.
nice. My number 4 is a game that is
Oh, really?
um Suspicion.
Really?
Suspicion is
Hmm.
a clue like game in the fact that you are trying to figure out um different things. We have not played this one for a long time, but I really enjoy this one. I had to actually watch a video on it the other day to remember
Mm-hmm.
what you do is you have a house that is a three that has 3 rooms by 4 rooms. You place the characters, all the characters around the outside of the house, and you're moving characters around, and you're trying to figure out who is you. Each person is given a card, and you know who you are, and then you're trying to figure out who other people are, who the jewel thieves are. You're trying to collect jewels as well, so different rooms have different jewels. So you might want to move into a room that. Let me back up. You are moving the characters around, but you don't want people to know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to be able to say you want to be able to collect jewels. So you want to move into a room that you can collect something or that you can see other people, and you got to be very strategic with that because there's only so many rooms that have each color. So if you move into a room that has blue and you take a blue gem, people are going to know, oh, they're not that person, they're not that person, they're not that person because those people are not in rooms with blue gems. So you want to try and move other little figures around to spaces to help kind of hide who you are as well, from what I remember correctly. And the one thing I like about this is you get information throughout the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
So unlike Clue, where you only get information if you are making guesses, you get information on every single person's turn because they are doing something, everybody's doing something, and you can start going, okay, I know that's not that. I know that's not that. So yeah, so I really like this game. It's a lot of fun. I don't know if it plays the best at 2. I think that's why it probably has not gotten to the table much because you do only have 2 people that you're trying to figure out who the other person is.
So you don't get a lot of clues that way.
You do, but you get a lot of clues, but you're only trying to figure out one other
Yeah.
person or something. So
One thing that confuses me on this game, and it's why it was so high on my list, I think, is that some of the clues are like this person is not within view of 3 spaces or
what it
something like
is
that.
you say like they can see certain people. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I can see. So then you have to see. Well, can they see them that way? Can they see them that way? So yeah, I might take this into school and play it with some of the kids. I had some kids last year who really liked Clue, and so
Mm.
maybe they'd like this one. It's a little
That
bit more.
makes me think too hard because I'm like, well, can I see this person? So then I have to sit there and angle it and figure, okay, I can see him this way, but I can't see him this way. So then I am not seeing them this way. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just gonna scratch
think
it
she
off.
overcomplicates it. It's just a straight
No,
line. It's just straight lines.
it's
Are they in a
not.
straight line? Okay.
I can't do straight lines.
All right. Moving on to Stacey's number 3.
My number 3, Ian's already talked about. So I'm not gonna waste a bunch of time on it. Categories. I love this game. New Year's Eve party game for us, so it's coming up to our yearly play. I think we played this actually once or twice this year. Besides New Year's, I think we actually got it out
Possibly.
for something else at one time. But you just set your timer for, I think there's a minute you can choose or 2 minutes you can choose. And in that time frame, you have to just write like heck and come up with different words fitting the category, like he said. Um, the dice is A through Z.
It doesn't have all the letters.
Yeah.
It's a 20-sided dice, so it doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's missing
It's
6
missing
letters.
some of the really hard
Q,
letters,
X,
thankfully.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you just pray that it comes up with an easy letter, that you know a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So categories, always a fun party game, and that's my number 4, 3, 3. Oh, right there, number 3.
My number 3, I think Stacey's gonna be surprised by this one, is a take on an old school game, and that is Story Sliders. I love this game. This game is so fun. So in Story Sliders, there's lots of different ways to play. You have these boards. So you see, you got 4 people here. When we play with 2, we have 2 connected. You can also do a really long row of 4, and then you got 4 different boards here. 2 different boards that are 2-sided each. That's scoring. If you ever seen curling or anything like that, basically these story pieces have a little ball bearing on them, and you chuck them down this track and they roll on this. You're trying to get as close to you're trying to score points. Some of them, the middle is open and it'll actually fall into the hole and it gets eliminated. It's just a fun game. I really like playing that game. I don't know what it's a lot of fun. We play that one. That's one of our New Year's ones as well. It's just a lot of fun to sit there and chuck that chuck that piece. It's a lot of fun going head to head too because you're thrown in 2 different ways. It's a lot of fun to go in the same direction. So that is Story Sliders, my number 3.
And one good thing about that game, we always play that on New Year's Eve. As it's getting closer to midnight, I would say this is one of our 10 o'clock games.
Yes.
Doesn't take
There's
a lot
no
of thought. There's no thinking involved. If you can still push something and try and, be a little active, it's a good one to play closer to, midnight. I like that game as well.
We started years ago, even before we got big into board gaming, a New Year's Eve kind of game-a-thon, just to kind of hang out and do stuff. We make a bunch of appetizers and then we play games all evening. And yeah, that definitely is a later in the evening one because you don't have to think at all. You just roll it. You just chuck the thing down.
The hardest decision is what shape do we want to put the boards
which board do we want to use? How do we want to use it? Yeah.
That's a little hard sometimes.
Yep. All right, moving on to Stacey's number 2.
My number 2 is a game that I think I learned this year. I don't know if I learned it this year or last year. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But this is a KTBG game. And we did a playthrough of this not too long ago.
Yeah, our first Wednesday with the Wills was this was on there.
Food Fighters. So basically, we have a couple expansions for this as well. This one's veggies versus meat.
The base game is veggies versus meat. The base
game. So you have 2 players and you pick who's going to be who. If one's going to be the veggies, one's going to be the meat. You line up your cards and then you have little characters that earn weapons that can guard off the veggies powers, or you can guard off the meat powers, and then you try and steal the other cards, and whoever steals, 4 cards, 5 cards from the other player.
If you get all 3 of one veggie or meat from the other person, you're attacking. It's basically you're having war between them.
Yeah. That's war. But Food Fighters is a fun game. It's kind of a strategic thinking game. So KT. Oh,
My number two
Look
is
at
also Food Wars.
you.
I had a feeling our top two are going to both be exactly the same, honestly. Just knowing the list. This is a fun game. Another one, good one from KTBG, like Stacey says. Basically, what you have is you have a 3x3 grid of meat and veggies. There's three different meats, three different veggies. You're facing each other. You can only attack if you're in the front row, if you're on the front line. And you can only attack if you're thinking of the correct meat. So, like, if the lettuce is thinking of the steak, it can attack it, but it can't attack the chicken. It can't attack um, the bacon.
Bacon.
But there are some things. When you play, you roll for beans as well. Beans are your currency. You can get spoons, which act as spears. So if you're not in the front line, you can attack from further back, or if you're on the front line, you can attack something that is further back on the other side. Because it's a spear, you get one use out of it, and then it goes back in, but you can buy them more than once. There's crackers, which you can use as shields, so then someone would have to defeat you twice. And then there is pans. Pans go over the over what they're thinking about. Um, uh, and so then they can attack anything. They aren't thinking about something. I almost think of it as like, okay, maybe they're getting hit in the head, I guess, and they are no longer thinking about one thing. Um, you're good, Jeff. I'm good. Just happy you're joining in. Um, and yeah, so we do have these sweets and salty expansions. So those add nine. Those add two more things. And the cool thing is they have these little vinyl stickers, so you can play them against anything. You can even combine. You can make like a whole meal. You could have like a vegetable, uh, a meat, and a sweet for dessert, and you could combine those as your meal, and then you could put the stickers on the other things so that they can you can fight against each other. So you can actually combine these however you want, which I think is kind of cool. I don't know. So then each faction has three ability cards, and I think if you combine them up, it's just whoever takes it first gets that ability card. But the abilities allow you to do some different things. You can also get you can also buy a red dice, which has two splats on it. In order to actually defeat someone, you actually have to get a splat on the dice. So having that red dice is a little powerful on your next turn. That is Food Fighters by Kids Table Board Gaming. And moving on to number one.
Oh, you knew my number one. My number one is a from one of my favorite game makers, KTBG, and this one are my favorite game makers. Um, Made for families by families, which is important. And that my number one is cover your assets. Basically, you are battling to be a millionaire against other people. So you are trying to get pairs of different cards so you can get like old fashioned um, jewelry or furniture, cars, and you just have to get uh, do pairs, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you add up all of your money. So each item is worth a different value. Um, and so you add up all your cards when you're done at the end of the game, and whoever has the most money wins. So it's a pretty straightforward, easy game. 2 to 6 players. Oops, I keep going out of sight. So I'll let Ian expand on it for his number.
Yes, my number one is also cover your assets. Grandpa Beck's games have really just hit for us in our gaming and stuff, and this is from my board game club as well. That's kind of where we learned about them. I got some donations last year, and then we added some for us. Um, I've only played that one on BGA, Jeff. I do enjoy that one. That's a fun one, but I've only played that one on BGA. So in cover your assets, like Stacey said, you are trying to make pairs. When you make pairs, those are your assets. You lay them down in front of you. Your next asset you put the opposite way. So you're covering your assets. Because your opponent, if they've got a card that is the same as your top asset, they can attempt to steal it. They can steal it if you have something. If you have something that can block it, either the same asset or a silver or gold, which are wild, you can play that. The silver and gold are worth 25,000 and 50,000 though, and some of these assets are worth 5, 10, 15, 20, and 20 or and 20,000. So you can keep on going back and forth. Um, it's just a really fun game, especially when you start stealing from each other. You're
Stealing
making
is fun.
yeah. We've only I mean we there's a really great two-player variation for this. That Stacey and I have played where you have three decks of cards or three
Players.
discard piles. And so you can choose. So in more than two players, there's one discard pile. You can take the top card off the discard pile to make a pair if you want, or you can take the top card off the deck to make a and try and make a pair. Oh no, you can't take the top card off the deck. You can take the top card off the discard pile to make a deck. You will always have five cards in your hand, and then with two players, there's three discard decks, three discard piles, so that you have a little more options to choose from. So it's a really great variation. I did get this at the table with my kids at Board Game Club this year um, for the first time because we learned this summer, and uh, and I played it with five, four of us. Um, man, we had a great game. It was awesome. It came down to the last second, and I had a huge pile that I kept on trying to cover. That had it was a very low overall like asset. Yet when we battled, people kept on trying to battle and trying to steal it, and it just kept on getting bigger and bigger as it like went from one person to the next person because they would steal it, but they were using gold and silver. So all of a sudden you had like these 25,000, 50,000. I eventually got it in my pile, and I thought that I had used all of the orange cards, which is what it was, and I'm like, I've got this. And so like I had the last one. So someone tried to steal from me at the end, and we were down to like what it goes is once the deck is gone, everybody has to play out their cards. And I'm like, okay, I got an orange card here. I've got to be able to back this up. There's no way. Like the stack was really high, and I knew it was a lot of money. Like I was gonna win. I was like, okay, and I kept on trying to cover it. I kept on trying to cover it, and they kept on stealing. They kept on stealing. The kids kept on stealing, like that one that was covering it. And it came down to the end, and I was able to block one last person, and then it came down to the last person to go who had a card left, and she had the card. And it was the second round. She ended up stealing the pile from me, and so somebody else ended up winning the game because she stole that big pile from me. But it was awesome. And then the great part about it was the next day at board or the 2 days later at Board Game Club, those same kids got it out and taught it to some other kids. So it was a lot of fun seeing them play again. Actually, I played with them again with a bigger group 2 days later because they wanted to play again, and we played with like six of us, which is the max. And then the following week they got it out and played again. So it's been a hit since it was introduced. So that is Cover Your Assets by Grandpa Beck's Games.
Wow.
So I'm honestly okay. So surprises on your list.
Surprises on my own list?
Yeah, surprises on your own list.
Unstable unicorns.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked. I'm shocked at that and Tic Tac KO on yours.
Yeah, me
I
too.
I did not. And Happy Little Dinosaurs didn't make your.
That was number 11, so
Oh.
that was right on the cusp. I
Wow.
could have swapped them, or I could have
I'm
swapped something.
I'm surprised that unstable. I'm actually kind of surprised the unstable games were that high on your list.
Me too.
When you look at all the kind of the fun
I know.
stuff, I thought you were gonna have some. I thought Dumb Ways to Die was gonna make your list. So.
I did too.
Like the fun
And that
silly
was number
stuff.
13.
The fun silly things that you play. I was surprised. I was Tetris. Like that one was a little surprise for me. That would make your honorable mention. So
This whole list was difficult for me.
it was. My list. Sorry, Sliders and Suspicion kind of sneaking up like that high.
I did not realize you liked sliders that much.
I love that game. Is so much fun. That game is so much fun. When you're down at this rating level, it really that game is so much fun. I love that game. It's just sometimes those silly games just kind of jump ahead. Um, yeah, Dumb Ways. I mean, like I said, this list is a lot of our silly fun games. I was surprised actually that Disney's A Small World made it onto my honorable mentions.
Were you surprised it made it on mine?
No, I was surprised it wasn't in your top 5.
I am too.
Like I thought that was gonna be top 5 for sure. Yeah, a lot of the stuff here was from our board, my board game club at school, especially in my honorable mentions, which I really like because that introduced me a lot more games that we want to have at school, and it's just fun playing with the kids with them. So I think that's part of it. Is I really like, introducing this hobby to the next generation and getting them excited about playing board games instead of being on their computers and tablets and stuff and phones all the time. So it's been a lot of fun. Just seeing that excitement with the kids like playing games and just having fun playing games. I think that's kind of a reason some of these games kind of moved onto my list. Um, yeah, I'm just kind of looking around and seeing. I don't think anything else really surprised me. Anything? What surprised you on my list?
Sliders,
Sliders,
definitely.
like that high?
Yeah, I thought that would be like in your top 20, but I didn't have a clue. I mean, we're gonna have to bring it to the table some more, I
Yeah.
guess, instead of just once a year. The one thing I don't like about sliders, and it just may be the copy that we have, is that the boards aren't exactly flat. So you kind of have to
I think because we've had it for, I think they're probably a little warped, a little bit.
possibly. So I think it gets unfair because it always seems to warp when it's my turn, and then it's always goes straight when it's
Well, I
Edie's
don't think
turn.
that's true at all because mine go all over the place. Um,
But yeah, that's the only. I mean, it is a fun game. Don't get me wrong, but the boards you have to before you play it, lay something heavy on top of it or something to get it nice and straight, or lay
yeah,
something heavy on
we
the
probably
ends.
should lay some. We probably should take the stands off them and lay
Yeah.
something on them. Yeah. So, drop us a note. What are your favorite games in the 6.0 to 6.49 rating on Board Game Geek? Like I said, these are games that like if you have 50 votes on this, I think a lot of them are going to be. I was personally surprised some of these had 50 votes. Like really, I was. I like when I saw the list. Like I've never heard anybody talk about Suspicion. It was a
Mm-mm.
game that randomly came across my radar many years ago, early in our board gaming, and I'm like, oh, that looks kind of fun. I like Clue, and it looks a lot like Clue. So
Very cluish.
very clueless, and yeah, so like, and so I would say I've never heard of anybody talk about Story Sliders, but I did hear someone mention it recently, who I follow on YouTube, that they played at Gamers Ranch late one night and just happened to be there.
Oops. What's Gamers Ranch?
It's a ranch you can rent out, and it's just full of games, and you can just go play games with your friends for like a weekend.
Like a ranch?
Yeah,
Like
it's a
with
house. It's like a
animals
house.
and
No, I don't know. It's a house. It's a
I think I'd
big house in
rather,
Missouri, I
no
think.
offense, so I think I'd rather go spend time with the
I
animals
don't I don't
outside.
know. I know it's a game house that a lot of people go to. A lot of big name game people go to and stuff.
Never heard of it.
Um,
Sure, it's
and yeah.
fun.
So let us know what your top games in the 6.0 to 6.49 rating.
If
Let us
you've
know.
ever been to Game Ranch, let us know what it is and what to expect.
It's a house with a lot of games, and that's all you do.
Oh, so that's the
Um,
important question.
we can
Like,
look it up.
okay.
But anyway, like I said, next week's episode will not be live because we will be setting up for Stacey's Craft Fair on Saturday, and so we're gonna probably film that one this weekend and get it up next week, and then in 2 weeks we will have our November Five and Dime, and the Monday before that we will have a live stream where we have a good night, Jeff. The Monday before that we will have a live stream where we talk about all the games we played in the month of November, just briefly, and then this Wednesday, upcoming Wednesday, is Wednesday with the Willses. Hopefully Stacy is does not come down with a last second illness this time, like she did 2 weeks ago or last week when she came home and she was like, "I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it."
Yeah, migraine.
Yeah, yeah, she had a major migraine that night. So yeah, so we're I I'm not sure what we're gonna play.
We have a few ideas
We
we're
got a
kicking
few ideas.
around.
We'll put up the thumbnail here pretty soon.
If there's something you want to see us play in the future, we play every 2 weeks. Um, Drop us a line. Make a comment. I don't know how this whole thing works down here somewhere.
Make a like, subscribe, comment down
Yeah,
below.
down below. And maybe we have that game, and maybe we'll do a playthrough and have some
It
fun.
has to be something that plays in about an hour.
or less.
or less, for that. It is middle of the week, and you know, so
Some of us got to be up early in the morning.
yeah. So yep. So drop us a line. And we got a couple ideas for this upcoming Wednesday, and then like I said we got our Five and Dime next Friday, which will be filmed ahead of time, and then the following Monday we'll be live for a month in review of all the games we played. It's gonna be something new we do, and then the following Friday will be. I think we'll go live again for the Five and Dimes. I think that it's fun doing the Five and Dimes live. With us talking about the games on the Monday, this may not take as long. We can talk more about maybe why we think it moved it was higher than other stuff instead of talking about the game as much. Anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. And like
Thank you. Hope you had a fabulous Thanksgiving.
Please like and comment below.
Yeah, do that too.
If you like this video and want to see more, please hit that subscribe button up above. And if you want to see the rest of our Five and Dimes, you can follow that link. Once again, this has been Where There's a Will,
there's a play.
I'm Ian.
I'm Stacey.
And we'll see you next time
at the table.